I'm Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. My voice, I think, sounds different now, guys. I don't know. I have a whole new setup in my closet, and I feel like my voice sounds like magic. I had a friend who got me new recording equipment, and I wanted to talk about that. Like in terms of like feelings of gifts and things like that. And like when he first offered, because I was like, oh, I really want new equipment, but I have COVID. My job just shut down. I will not be employed for the foreseeable future. So, dropping money on this doesn't seem like it's feasible right now. And he was like, okay, well, give me your address. And I was like, oh, dude, I can't do that. And he was like, don't overthink it. Just let me do this, right? And I'm not going to get into the whole detailed thing. First of all, I don't want to put him on the spot, but I'm so grateful. And it's just interesting to me. Like before I started working on my self-worth and my self-love, thank God I worked on that before I got COVID, because a lot of people have been very generous and very sweet during this time. And before I loved myself, essentially, I mean, like if you break it down, before I liked myself, I would have not allowed any of this love in my life. And on the surface, it would have looked like I was saying, like, oh no, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm tough. I don't need help. I'm good. But really under that was a level of, I don't believe I deserve love or help or support. And yeah, he was like, don't overthink it. Like if you want, you can look at it as investment. I believe Kral Space is going to make money, or look at it as a gift, whichever one, but do not overthink it. And it was so gracious and so cool, because I was like, oh yeah, and also, I believe in this show quite a bit, and I'm really proud of it. So I think I will be able to return that tenfold. I don't think that's the saying. I don't know. You know what I mean? But then it also got me thinking, like, so every year I make a goal list. How I started out, and I'm going to do a little bit of this next week. So no homework, but I don't think I've ever given you guys homework before. But next week I'm going to do this for myself and then read a couple of them. And I think this is a good way, especially after like this shit of a year that this has, seemingly been. There's been a lot of really cool stuff too. It's hard. I don't know. I wonder if I'm just like overly positive, because I always look at the bright side. I do believe that my innate positivity is the thing that got me through my sketchy childhood, because I do always see the bright side of shit, right? But so what I do at the end of every year is I write down as many things. I think I'm going to go for 100 this year. I saw a friend of mine do 100 things she was proud of, but I write down a big list of all the stuff that I accomplished in that year. Even if it's something tiny as like, oh, I made my bed every day, right? Like that. So that way, when you start off writing your goals for the following year, you're in like a really good mindset, instead of like starting the goals of like, oh my God, I didn't finish that book I started writing and I can't believe like blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, I wrote on my, my accomplishment list that I wrote 7 chapters of this book. You know what I mean? So it just like shifts the mindset of like, from like have you didn't do to shit you did do. And then I like to write out my goals. So one of my goals, and obviously I changed my goal. I think I told you guys this. I changed my goals when the pandemic hit. I had 5 main goals beforehand, and then I can't even remember what they were, but they were really heavily comedy based and really heavy Dash based when I had the show at Dash. And, all that shut down. Everything was taken away from us. And so everything was taken away from us. That's so dramatic. But it's so funny. I'm like, with this equipment, I have a whole new setup in my closet. I think I'm going to paint it. I'll show you guys to go. Wow. I will give you a COVID update. It's been a rough week. Fuck, this thing is a nightmare. This thing's a goddamn nightmare. But I think I know I'm going to paint my closet and make my Kral Space area pretty. I might even hang up some pictures. I don't know. So I shifted all my goals to like, so one of my goals was to grow Kral Space. And then I put little goals under each one. And one of them was I wrote down, I want new recording equipment. And then with the job and everything, I was like, oh, that probably isn't going to happen. So, I also am a firm believer in not like beating yourself up over shit. Like if you accomplished a lot of your goals, that's awesome. If you have goals, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I know we're so fucking mean to ourselves. We're so mean to ourselves. God, I love this exercise where you look at like, I feel like I'm back in my radio show, by the way. Like this equipment is fucking rad. So cool. Like I can hear myself the way I could hear myself when I was recording at Dash. Only I don't have someone being mean the whole time. Just kidding. Kind of. And I'm in my closet. Well, I do have someone pounding on the door constantly. God, my cat is just amazing. I love that little animal. He just wants to spend time with me. That's all. He just wants to be around me. But we have such mean voices in our heads, right? Like the way we talk to ourselves, our tapes. And I've listened to people. Like I have a buddy that we were talking about shit we wanted to accomplish next year. And he was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to get to do that because I'm this and I'm that. And I was like, dude, be nice to yourself. Like, so I like to do this thing where when I am beating myself up, I'm like, I think of like my best friend, right? My best friend is this nurse mom who has, if you told me cartoon birds braided her hair in the morning, I would believe you. She's just a fucking angel. And she's so funny. God, I love that woman. I love this woman so much. And if I try to switch it and I'm like, if Katie did that, would you be like, wow, you're a fucking idiot, stupid Katie? Like, no, I would be like, be nice to yourself. You accomplished this, and you're a wonderful, you know what I mean? So I tried to like switch it that I wouldn't, because I am becoming my own best friend too, so I'm trying to switch it to where I, talk to myself like I talk to my own best friend. So when I wasn't able to get the equipment, when it just became, where it wasn't going to be feasible, and I thought about like putting on a credit card, and I was just like, you know what, just breathe. It'll come when it comes. And then my friend messaged me and said that. And it's so funny. It reminded me of, I don't know if it's a joke or an adage. That's not a word, but you know what I mean? A story, an adage. But someone will tell me what that word is, or no one knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's where the guy is standing on the roof of his house and there's a flood, and like he can't, like the whole place is flooded, and he's like stranded on his roof. And a guy in a boat comes and he's like, man, get in the boat. And the guy's like, nah, I'm cool. I pray to God, I'll be good. So then, the guy of the boat's like, all right, man. And he goes away. And then a guy in a helicopter comes and he's like, dude, get in the helicopter. And the guy's like, nah, I prayed to God. I know I'm going to be taken care of. And then he dies, right? He drowns. He dies in this flood, and he goes up to heaven. And he goes to God, and he's like, yo, man, I devoted my whole life to you. And then when I needed you the most, you weren't there. And God was like, dude, I sent you. God was probably not like, dude, but he was like, I sent you a boat and a helicopter. And so I'm learning to like just say thank you and like lean into the love. Like I have so much love and support in my life that like I don't think I would have been able to accept any of it maybe a year or two ago. This time last year, it was just like I just didn't believe I deserved respect and love. And like, I don't know, a girlfriend sent me a message about just me recovering from COVID, and she was just like, just so you know, like you are so protected and you are so loved. And like, you're just like, so many people are pulling for you. Another guy sent me that too a couple weeks ago. He was just like, you just have like an army behind you that just wants you to get better, which is awesome. So just lean into the love, man, because, amazing things will happen. And I know that Kral Space is going to make a lot of money. So I'll be able to, pay the guy back or do something special for him, or, all that stuff. So it's funny. He's listening to this. He obviously is one of my listeners too. Dear friend of mine, but, yeah, so thank you. And I sound like fucking magic. Listen to this. I don't know. It took me like 20 minutes. I was like listening, and then I was like, cause I'm not used to, I'm usually just yelling in my closet. And now I'm like, oh my God, I feel so professional. So there is a COVID update. I've been singing this all week, and I was going to make it maybe the title of this episode, but then I was like, no one's probably going to understand unless I sing it to them, right? I went back to I can't sing either, back to the EEER, like in like USSR. I hope you know what I'm talking about. I can't sing at all. Plus I'm not super well, like how I feel. I feel fine just like sitting here. Don't think I'm pushing myself, but like, to like, believe me, I'm learning. I feel like I'm still sick. My buddy, a couple weeks ago, I think I told you this, and then he got mad at me on Friday. Called me on Friday And he's like, I was like, oh, I'm delivering packages. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Like, you're still like, he's like, how are you? I was like, oh, I'm all right. I was like, my chest hurts. I can't really take a deep breath and my head is just constantly pounding, but it's cool. And he was like, I was like, and I made a joke. I was like, I kind of think I'm just getting used to it at this point. And he was like, he got really upset. He was like, he's never yelled at me. He was like, sit your fucking ass down. What are you doing? Get your ass home. Like, and he's also had a handful of people pass away from this thing. And a couple of them have major issues. And, a couple of them were fine and then they died. So I understand what he's saying and he's right. He's 100% right. I went home that day and I was just like, and he also was like, God is trying to show you something. I call it universe. You can call it something else. We've already talked about this. I'm cool with, I used to have a problem with the word God, but I think it's all encompassing, like universe, source, higher power, whatever you call it. I don't think it's Sky Dad, right? We talked about Sky Dad. Sky Dad is the made up make believe God in the sky that tells you that homosexuals are bad, and white is superior or something. I don't fully know, but I know they definitely don't like the gay people. So that's a made up God. I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about universe, source, that. But my buddy was like, God is trying to show you something. You were not the same person you were before you got COVID, and he's trying to show you something now, and you need to wake up and pay attention and wake up and pay that. I can't sing, man. That is one of the things I wish I could do in this life is sing. God. I mean, it'd probably be a real bummer for everybody in my life because I've always wanted everything to be kind of a musical, but the one hard part about everything being a musical is I can't sing. So, but I took that to heart and I went home and I was like, yeah, what are you trying to show me, universe? And so far I've got slow down and I still enjoy the moment and the journey. I know that's so cliche, but enjoy everything I do is for an end goal, an end game. You know what I mean? Or to get people not to be mad at me because I'm a people pleaser. So everything I do, okay, I go on this date. It's because I want him to be my husband and have a kid because I want to get married and I want to have kids. And time is a ticking. I think I got 6 years or I can adopt. Who cares? You know what I mean? It's still so vulnerable for me to share that because I'm 38 years old and I have never openly said I wanted these things because I didn't think I deserved them. And I didn't think they were in the cards for me. And the more I work on myself, the more I'm like, oh, I get to have all of this stuff I've always wanted. How cool is that? But dates and instead of just enjoying it, I'm like, could this guy be the father of my kid? Or when I go out, I'm like, oh, that guy's attractive. Maybe he'll ask me on a date. It's just I don't know. I'm using men as an example this morning, but everything, it's okay, well, I'm going to relax today. But while I'm relaxing, I'm going to make a vision board. So I have this. Okay, well, while I'm relaxing, I'm going to work on my website. Okay, while I'm relaxing, it's just always something. And then also with the people pleasing, I realized I've been sick for 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks, give or take. It's awesome. So much fun. Loving it. That's sarcasm. But I've been my phone and I sound like I'm bitching, right? I sound like and I'm not bitching about all the love, but I am being contacted so much every day. I'm so tired of answering the how are you feeling question. I'm so fucking tired of it. And it dawned on me. I went back to the ER on Sunday. I'll tell you about that story. Jesus, we're in trouble. Our healthcare system is wild. And just the whole day was just, I had to cry at some point. I still don't even know if what I got was going to help me. Who knows? We'll find out. I do want to say that if this thing does take me out and this isn't an underlying thing that we didn't catch on Sunday at the doctor and I die, I'd like to say fuck you to all you people who won't wear masks. And also, yeah, just that. And all you people who haven't taken this seriously. I don't want to, my parting words will be that. This is what I won't die. Also, my cousin Maggie is going to take my cats. Her daughter is 4 and is very gentle with animals and very good with skittish animals like Lucy. This is my weird will. I don't know why I went there. But what am I saying? What was I talking about? The text messaging. And so I've just been I don't want to upset people, but I'm tired of answering that question. And then I'm so tired. And it's almost a part-time job. Just respond. I haven't even looked at my DMs on on my Facebook or Instagram. Yesterday, my buddy texted me and I saw it in like all caps come onto my thing that was like, please just let me know you're okay. And I went to the thing and I was like, oh shit, he's messaged me like 6 times and we're like pals, right? And I was like, oh, here's my number. I can't believe we've never done that. We always communicate via Instagram. And he was like, yeah, I was this close to just asking one of our mutual friends for your phone number. So if you have DM'd me, know that it's so, they're full and it just takes a lot out of me. And it's taken a lot out of me with like text messaging. But I had this come to moment, I guess. I don't know what that means, but moment where I was like, oh, I don't have to respond to everybody. I am sick. My body is clearly still fighting this thing or the aftermath of this thing or whatever. I still really I haven't gotten retested. I'm going to wait until I feel better just because I don't feel better. And I feel like getting another positive test will really bum me out. So I'm just trying. I'm not, there's nowhere to go. So, and I'm not contagious according to the CDC. I haven't been contagious since day 20. I guess if you are still sick, day 20 is the last. There's no solid information out there. But what am I saying? Oh my God. So I've decided that I am texting people. I have a copy and paste that I'm sending people that are texting me because it's just like, how are you? I'm okay. What's going on? Well, this and this and this. Oh my God. Well, here's my advice. And it's so exhausting. And I feel like I sound like a cunt right now. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, so many people care about me and are just checking in on me. And I do, like my critical parent, shitty voice inside the bad tape is like, you're an asshole. You should be grateful all these people love you. But my loving parent side, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but, for what they teach a lot in my 12-step program, part of the program is becoming your own loving parent. Because a lot of us didn't have parents growing up or good parents, myself. And then you become the role. You know what I mean? So like Sunday when I couldn't breathe, it wasn't like emergency couldn't breathe, but it was like, I can't take a deep breath and my body is like really trying and it's starting to hurt. My chest was hurting and my head was getting worse. And I'm taking like 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every 6 hours and nothing. I mean, like maybe it'll dull it a little bit, but like my critical parent side was like, oh, just suck it up. Like, it's fine. The emergency room, blah, 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 blah. Don't do this. But then I looked at my loving parent side and I was like, when I look at a little kid and be like, oh, you can't breathe. Why don't you clean out your closet? I'm like, what the fuck? So I look at the loving parent side. It's just like, you will be able to, when you are better, reach out to every one of these individuals that has, asked how you're doing and have a full conversation with them. For now, copy and paste. And this is what I've said. Hey, I'm okay. I'm still pretty sick, so I'm in bed resting. I'm not up for texting, but thank you for checking in. I hope you're well. And it is funny. I sent that to like 6 people yesterday when I finally had, and the relief of just like, oh, I don't have to have long text conversations right now. They're just really draining. And like everything is just taking a lot out of me, right? And like standing for too long, I'm like, ooh, gonna pass out. This after I record this, I will have to sleep for 2 hours. Isn't that wild? And it's just my body being like, yo, man, we gotta rest. But oh my God, I love this. I'm so happy. This is such a cool, like, does my voice, I promise later I won't be as excited about how I feel like my voice sounds like magic. But yeah, just like this relief came over me yesterday. And it's funny, I sent it to 6 people and 4 of the 6 liked it, said, cool, got it, sleep well, or glad to hear you well, got it, whatever, like some sort of acknowledgement of understanding. The majority of the people did that. A couple of people, I'm fucking up the numbers. A couple of the people, no response at all, which I'm like, okay, well I said I don't want to text. So they probably were like, oh, cool. Okay. And then 2 people were like, oh, okay, well, this is what's going on with me. And I'm really worried about this and that and blah, blah, blah. It like sent me another paragraph. And the people pleaser in me was like, oh, okay, I better respond to that. And then the like irritable person in me was like, what the fuck are they doing? But then the loving parent in me, yeah, there's 1,000 voices in my head. I have a committee is what I call them. The loving parent was like, that's their shit. You set your boundary. You do not have to respond anymore. Period. How fucking simple is that? Like phone calls take a lot out of me. Texting takes a lot out of me. I would like to be better soon. And I wish I would have realized this 1 month ago when I first got sick, because it was exhausting. I could have been sleeping all that time. So I guess that's a lesson, you know what I mean? Self-care. And I'm learning it. I'm learning boundaries. I'm learning people-pleasing stuff. I did go, oh God. So I was having trouble taking deep breaths. That started on Friday night, and then Saturday it got a little worse. My chest was hurting, and my head's just always hurting, right? And so I was like, okay, if it's not better, I probably should go to I was like, I'm going to go to urgent care on Monday. That Saturday, I was like, Monday, I'll go early to urgent care. Then I text a couple friends, and they're like, no, we think you need to be going now. That's like the scary whatever, right? And I'm just like, the hospitals in LA are overrun right now. Like, I think there's like 30 beds left, 30 ICU beds in all of Los Angeles. Do you know how fucking big Los Angeles is? So I was like, okay, well, we'll see. I was like, and then it got worse on Saturday night, and I like literally couldn't move. I was just like, I just need to lay down. I'm so winded, right? And so I was like, okay, I'll go Sunday morning. I'll go Sunday morning to urgent care. And my cousin is my cousin married, so she's my cousin now. I call her my cousin, whatever. She's a physician's assistant. And I was like, and she's amazing. I called her and I was just like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Because I have a hard time communicating. I don't know about you guys, especially doctors are just such in a hurry. Like it's like the doctor comes in and they're like, you have 4 seconds to tell me what's going on. And then I'm going to zone out, and then I'm going to write you some prescription that probably has nothing to do with what's wrong with you. But I'm just overrun, or it's a business, or I don't know. I don't know if there's not enough doctors, too many patients, or it's a big business and they get a kickback from writing all these prescriptions. Probably a little column A, column B, both, right? And so I was just like, I have a really hard time communicating in the little amount of time, or like I have a hard time advocating for myself. And can I just tell you what is wrong? And if you think I should go to the doctor, and if you think what I should say, right? My nose is really itchy. Not because of cocaine. I'm obviously during COVID, I have not done anything other than just snort a bunch of blow. That's a terrible joke. My COVID brain is so real. I call her, I tell her what's going on, and she was like, yeah, you need to definitely go now. And I was like, I'm only going to urgent care because like it's not like I'm like, going to pass out without the breathing. It's just I'm really winded and I can't catch my breath. I'm short of breath or whatever. And so I'm going to go to urgent care. And she's like, okay, well, let me send you a list of the things that you said and things that will be important for them to hear, and my suggestions, right? And she's like, just say that your sister is a physician's assistant, right? Because if I'm like my cousin's wife, it's like my sister's brother's uncle, whatever. So I was like, cool. So I go to urgent care. I get there right when it opens. So I'm in line. There's only 2 people in front of me. And I go up, and the woman was like, I'm going to take your temperature. I was like, cool. She's like, why are you here today? And I was like, well, I had COVID. And she's like, what? When did you test? And I was like, I had COVID, and I have chest pain, and I'm having a hard time breathing. And she's like, what? When did you test positive for COVID? And I was like, the first time on November 14th, and then the second time on December 12th. And she's like, when was your negative test? I'm like, I haven't had a negative test. And she's like, you need to go home and isolate. Why are you here? And I was like, I was trying to tell you that my chest hurts and I'm having a hard time breathing. She goes, you need to go to the ER now. And I'm like, so I can't, it doesn't feel like an emergency and they're overrun. And she's like, I can't let you in here. And I was like, so what do I do? And she goes, go to the ER. And I'm like, okay. And then she literally said, good luck. Good luck. Like, I'm not contagious. I have my mask on. I'll stay far away. You're doctors. But I was just like, oh, okay. So I was like, where's the nearest hospital? And she's like, it's on Joseph. It's Joseph. Like, not telling me. And I was like, please have patience with me. I need to see a doctor. So please just tell me where the nearest emergency room is. And so she tells me after you literally have to breathe, look at them in the eye and be like, I know you're losing patience, but please bear with me. Like, you have to call them out. And I found that out all day. Everybody I talked to, I had to you have to advocate for yourself. Why did these people become doctors? I don't know. I'm still so mad. I got to calm down. I had to cry. It was wild. So I get to the new emergency room and I'm like, I don't know if this is in my insurance network, right? That's a whole other fun thing you get to decide. So I asked the woman, I'm like, is there a way you could look up to see if you guys cover, if my insurance covers you guys? And she's like, California state law is that we can't look it up, we can't tell you, and we can't refuse service. So you have to write all this stuff in and just go in there. And I was like, okay, well, I really do need to find out if my insurance is covered here. And she's like, well, if it's an emergency, they will cover it. If it's an actual emergency, they kept saying that. If it's an actual emergency, how the fuck will you know if it's an actual emergency? But I was like, look, lady, I have had COVID. I don't know. I'm not well with COVID. And I already have enough going on. I don't need a $10,000 medical bill looming over me. And she's like, well, California state law says that we can't refuse you even if you don't have insurance or we don't cover you. So just fill this out and go over there and talk to the doctor. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go and sit down. What sucks is that place seemed empty. So I probably would have gotten seen quicker. But I was like, okay. And then I'm like, I'm going to call my insurance. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to pass out. Like I'm short of breath, right? And you probably can't tell it because I've been talking nonstop for 25 minutes. I've been my endurance on talking, I've been practicing my entire life. And it's been very hard because I have probably 4 hours of talking in me a day. And I usually talk all the time to Henry, to myself, sometimes to Lucy. Lucy's my other cat. She's just not as interested in my friendship as Henry is. So I go outside and I call the number, like the emergency number on the back of my card, not the emergency number, but the 24-hour, whatever. I call them. What the fuck is this? My computer just popped up with something. My irritability is very high. I think it's just because I've been cooped up and sick for 6 weeks that I think that would wear on anybody. So I'm working on being very nice to myself about that because I would like to burn the place to the ground. Not my place, but probably Los Angeles because people are still going out. They're still gathering. How is this happening? What level of asshole are you if you're still gathering? But I digress. And so I call my insurance company and I tell the woman what's going on. And she's like, well, we can't. She's like, we'll cover it if it's an actual emergency. And I was like, what do you mean an actual emergency? How will you prove it's an actual emergency? Because she was just like, well, I mean, it will, like, she goes, I'm pretty sure they will. I'm like, look, lady, I'm going to find another emergency room that will take my insurance. I can't. And she's like, well, if you're having chest problems and you can't breathe and you have COVID, you need to go in there now. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the system we live in. You know, I'm sorry, but I can't pay $10,000 right now. So, or $5,000, or I got my last emergency room bill and without insurance, it was $5,000. So I'm like, I can't have that looming over me. So you can help me, or I will just, I'll find a place that takes my insurance, but I can't. And then after I said that, after I made it human, you know what I mean? Like relatable, she took a deep breath and said, I get it. I would be doing the exact same thing you are. I'm sorry. And she's like, and we typically don't even cover that stuff. Like she was like, yeah, you probably wouldn't have been covered. So what's your zip code? So I tell her where I'm at, and we talk on the phone for a while I'm driving to the hospital, and she's being so nice. And she's just like, I'm sorry you're going through this, and talking about her experience because apparently she's a nurse, so that they have nurses on this line, right? And she was just lovely. Stephanie, Merry Christmas. That was her name. I almost cried on that phone call too, but only because we were both like, Merry Christmas. I hope you stay safe. We became pals. But I think it only happened when I made it human because I got a little snippety with her. I was just like, bitch, I'm not paying 10 grand. This is crazy. But I was just like, this is the system we live in. There are people. I met a girl years ago who had a friend that her friend had some terminal or some brain thing that wasn't going to kill him, but was going to be the rest of his life. And he was like $100 grand in debt, but he knew he never was going to be able to pay it. And he had to just accept that his debt was just going to grow and grow and grow because that was the only way he could save his own life. How fucked up is that? Also, I found out that America doesn't pay for most maternity leaves. Are you fucking kidding me? I hate it here sometimes. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, we're free. And so is most of the other developed parts of the world. Like, most of the developed world is also free. They just don't give guns to anybody with an IQ of 90. You know what? 90's low, I think, right? But like that, we're like the free talk, like you're taking away our freedoms. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Europe's free. Like Australia's free. Like, what are you talking about? But they have maternity leave. How crazy is that? Yeah, my cousin was like, yeah, we don't either. We had to use all our paid time off. And then she had to start working again like a month in just to make, like, that's crazy. Pro-life, my fucking asshole, right? Like, just like, we're the people were like, I'm pro-life. It's like, yeah, only in a fetus. You only care about the fetus, and that's just about control. Okay, I'm getting off track. It just makes me so angry. Like, my whole experience on Sunday was just how fucked up our medical system is, our healthcare system. And so I go into the first ER, right? And I walk up and I'm like, hi, I have COVID. I have shortness of breath and my chest hurts. And she goes, we don't have any room. So she's like, you're welcome to wait, but it's probably going to be hours, like maybe 7. I'm like, before anyone can see me, I don't think it's an emergency where I'll be admitted. I won't be taking up a bed. I just think it's probably like a drug situation. Like, honestly, I think I just am not breaking. I've had mucus this whole time. So gross. So sorry. And I haven't coughed. There's been 0 cough. So I think like then cough breaks that shit up and gets it out of you, right? And I haven't had that at all. So I'm like, I kind of think that the reason why this is happening is I have like buildup. And I think that's just easily fixed with drugs. I was right, by the way. I was 100% right. We'll get to that. So, but she was just like, I'm sorry. She's like, the doctor, that like someone will be available probably in like 6 or 7 hours. You can wait. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, 6 or 7 hours. I'm not doing anything today. Like, all I would be doing, I'm really tired. All I want to do is lay down, but that's all I'll be doing. So I'll just wait here. But then I'm like, fuck, I have a screen door that locks, like one of those like heavy duty, metal doors that locks. And I leave it open if I'm only going to be gone like an hour or two. So Henry and Lucy get air, get like a nice breeze, whatever. And so I left that open because I honestly thought I'd go to urgent care. They'd be like, oh, this, and this. Here's some drugs. Be on your merry way. Go home and sleep. Right. I don't know. It ended up being that easy, but it was like 16 fucking hours. It was wild. So what am I saying? Oh, so I sit down and I'm like, and I haven't eaten. My door's open and I finally feel like I have to poop. I haven't pooped at all the last 2 weeks. I pooped the other day. We'll talk about that in Poopscoop. Poopscoop booty. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, so I know the last place I went was the Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. And I was like, I know that place takes my insurance. I know that it's probably going to be equally as long, but at least I can go home, make sure the cats are all settled, and also eat and poop, right? So I leave that emergency room and I'm just like, I'm just going to go find another one, whatever. And the lady was just like, I'm sorry, good luck. How do you tell someone who's like, my chest hurts, I can't breathe, I have that virus that's killing everybody? Good luck. But I think that honestly they're okay. So I go home, I eat, I get Henry's pills already. I call Whitney, my buddy Whitney. He comes and takes me. I sit in the back seat. We have masks on, windows. I don't think the windows are down, but I don't think I'm contagious. The consensus is that I'm not contagious, except for the check-in woman at the fucking next hospital. I hate this bitch. I hate her. I don't actually hate her. I don't care that much. I'm sure her job's not easy. But so I go home, I eat, get Henry's pills ready. Whitney comes and picks me up. We go to there. I walk up to this woman, the woman who I just said I hate. I walk up. She literally does this. I walk up and I'm like, what? Can I sign in here? And I'm calm. I'm just like, can I sign in here? And I'm really defeated at this point, right? Like now I'm at my 3rd place. I can't breathe still, and I'm real tired. I think that that's just like the lack of not being able to get enough oxygen or taking real breaths. I just took one, which I think the meds are helping, which is amazing. So I was just like, yeah, can I sign in here? And she's like, I'm literally going to do what she did. She goes, the wait is really long. And I went, okay, I know. She goes, no, I'm talking like long, like 8-10 hours. Laughed in my goddamn face. And I just deadpanned. I was like, I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't know what you want me to do. I need to see a doctor. And she was like, oh, and I just like literally ripped it out of her hand and walked over and filled it up and then walked back and dropped it on the thing. Like, fuck her, right? Like, she was there last time, the one who told me I should will my body into not feeling bad anymore. She's not a doctor, just a security guard. I don't mean just, but I mean, she's not a doctor. She's, you know what I mean? I'm not putting down her job, but like, God. But then I was sitting next to her the whole time and she didn't do that to anybody else. So either it was personal or she saw her error in her ways and was like, oh, it was really insensitive to that girl, right? Oh my God, in the ER. Guys, the ER was wild again. Like, it's this time, like before we were all in a tent and they at least would take us in the back and do the insurance, the vitals, and the doctor all at once. This time there were several tents and they were doing the insurance. I watched 3 older people, like elderly people, get told they had COVID. Like they were just doing it in front of everybody because there's no room. There's literally no room in the hospital. There was a man sitting next to me who had back pain. So because he had back pain, he was there from 10 a.m. and was still there after I left. And I left around 9. So 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. They had brought out blankets because it started getting cold. He was like 80. They brought out blankets because it was starting getting cold. He was wrapped in them. And he was just like, I don't understand why I can't go inside. And they're like, we have no room. We're sorry. There's literally no room in there. It's so sad. So I kind of get all the bitchiness because and I get why I was dismissed so much because like there are people that, and I saw one of the elderly people get admitted. Like they were wheelchairing that dude around and they were still making him wait. That's how little room they had. And I get so I go back there, they finally call me back and I only waited like 3 hours, right? I know but it's not 8 hours. So I only wait like 3 hours for the initial nurse and he is very dismissive. They're so like, it's just like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And if you don't say the right thing right away, they're like, okay, cool. And I was just like, I know. I just took a deep breath and I was like, well, at the time I couldn't take deep breaths. So I like shallowly tried to inhale, shallowed, shallow la 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 low. I wish I could sing so bad, you guys. So I like tried to take a deep breath and I was just like, I know that you guys have very little patience right now, but I need to tell you what's wrong with me so I can get proper care. And he goes, oh, yeah, no, I'm not the person you're going to tell. We're just going to take your vitals and then you'll tell the doctor everything. But it took I understand what you're going through. I need to be heard. Please hear me. You know what? Like, just like that simple of like, just like talking like children. And so every time I get around 40 minutes of this, I'm like, I hope this was fun and funny for everybody. And I hope soon I just get to be like, I feel better. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, I hope like eventually, like next week, the last Kral Space of 2020. Sorry that I thought about that today and I said that very dramatically to myself. I was like, oh, next Wednesday is the last Kral Space of 2020. You better make it special. I hope I get to report that I feel a lot better. But so, I took the vitals and because my vitals weren't crazy in that moment, they were just like, oh, okay, well, you're probably fine. I had a resting heart rate of 140 3 days prior to this. I took a nap, woke up, my heart was pounding out of my chest and it was 140 and it's been consistently over 100 after I wake up or just am laying there. That's bad. I've Googled it a lot and I told my physician's assistant cousin, right? But right then it was fine. So then the doctor comes out that he was a physician's assistant. He pulls me back in there. I'm on like an office chair and he's standing over me and he's like, again, hurrying me along. Like he might as well be snapping. Like, come on, tell me. I just started crying. I was like, man, I've had the longest day. Nobody will listen to me. Like I'm not well. Please listen to me. And then it took crying. This guy grabbed a chair, pulled it up and was like, I'm sorry. Tell me exactly what's going on. I was like, I know you guys have a lot going on, but I've been waiting a long time. And I was like, my sister is a physician's assistant. I don't know if it's annoying if I'm like, these are the things she told me to make sure I told you was wrong. She's in Denver. And then I was like, and then I wrote down everything because I need to write it down. I get flustered in this situation and I just so I wrote it all down. He said no to the CT scan. Chest scan, right? Because of radiation. He said that if I had blood clots, I would probably have other symptoms like my legs would hurt, which is, hopefully that psychosomatic shit doesn't happen. It hasn't. It's been 3 days. My legs don't hurt. But, sometimes psychosomatically you're like, oh my God. And he was just like, this is too much radiation for your I would worry about it with your breast tissue, right? And I was like, okay. So he was like, but then he goes, so it's probably just COVID, and you're probably just recovering from COVID. It's a respiratory system. It's an upper respiratory disease, like or virus. It's attacking your upper respiratory. A lot of people have hard time breathing the first, for at least 3 months. So that's probably what it is. Just rest. And so do you need me to admit you? And I was like, what? He goes, well, you can just go and we won't charge you. You can just go. And I was like, no, you didn't help me at all. You just said, yeah, it's probably just COVID. I was like, yeah, I want you to take a look at me. I want you to look at me. I will pay the money. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, I'm so mad. I'm still so mad. It's just such like, and I get it. Like the ICUs are full and the guy is just like, you're not dying. But it's like, I also need to be my advocate because I haven't been able to breathe for 2 days. And like, I'm lightheaded. My head hurts. Like there's a lot of shit going on. Yes, I would like... So then he takes me in, he looks at my ears. I have an ear infection, and which is blocking mucus, and I'm not getting it out, right? So that's all that. He does give me over-the-counter instructions, but heavy-duty shit that I got to like buy from the pharmacist. I was a little pissed off about that because he made it seem like it was prescription, and but I then talked to a few other people and they're like, no, they do that all the time. And they write it down so you know exactly, especially if it's a high dose and you know exactly what. And then I called my cousin and she was like, they didn't give you an inhaler. She prescribed me an inhaler because she said that will help with breathing. So the two things he gave me, along with the 800 milligrams of ibuprofen and inhaler, it's been 2 days. I'm really, really out of it, and I feel really medded up, but I do feel better in terms of breathing in my nose, and I have started to cough a little bit, so hopefully I'll get this shit out of me. And I have just been sleeping. So that's the update. Our healthcare system is bullshit. Our whole system is bullshit. Like, what is happening? Let's get to some fun stuff. I did that. I have a lot of stuff written down. Oh my God. So I've been realizing, I don't know if this is Poopscoop or not. I think it is. I'm just going to update you on my bowels. That's Poopscoop booty. So I've been, in college, I implore you to look at your own. I have thought about this a lot since this. So in college, my freshman year of college, I lived in a suite. So it was me and another girl named Kim, and then a bathroom, and then two other girls named Jenny and Kristen. I've talked about Jenny and Kristen before. I mostly talk about Jenny. Kristen was very nice. I don't know. She was just like a small town girl that thought that Fort Collins was the Beverly Hills of Colorado, quote unquote. Fort Collins. Have you ever been to Fort Collins? Whatever. I'm judging. I'm learning how judgy I am too, but that's slowly working on myself, my friends. And so we would all share toilet paper, right? Like we would take turns buying toilet paper. I can't remember exactly what the system was, but Jenny and Kristen one day decided that Kim and I were using too much toilet paper, that we were going through too much toilet paper. So they sat us down and I wonder if any of them remember this, because I think about it every day. Every time I wipe, I'm like, God, I was the culprit. I was for sure the culprit. And I knew I was the culprit then, but I didn't want to admit it. They were like, you're using too much. I mean, that's why I've plugged a lot of toilets in my life too. I use too much toilet paper. I feel like one thing that is not bad to use too much of is the paper that you literally wipe poop out of your butt with, right? Like, I don't feel like that's bad. I would rather use too much than too little. I have friends that are like, I know a guy that, it's actually on record on my old show, my old co-host. So he said it all. It's already out there. So I'm going to say it again. He was like, God, and he was so mad because everyone was like, whoa, what? He was like, well, I can't go commando because just in case I have skid marks, And we're like, do you have skid marks that often? He goes, well, I'm a hairy guy. And sometimes, I don't get it after I wipe once. And so, yeah, the underwear gets it. And all of us were like, what? Like, this is like a whole episode. I wish I knew which episode it was because we were all, and he was like, what? Like, he didn't, I wonder if he changed his ways or if he thinks about this all the time. I think about it all the time. But so like, I feel like the thing that, yeah, because all of us wipe until it's gone, right? You wipe until it's gone. So I feel like I was the culprit, but I don't think that's a bad thing to be. But they were like, I think like they asked us how many squares per wipe do we use for just pee? And Kim, my roommate, said, I don't remember what she said, but what she said, like 4. And I was like, yeah, that's how much I use too. 4. I use exactly 4 every time. Whatever she's using, me too. Because I don't know. I don't use like 20, but I use enough to like wipe my vagina and wipe my asshole, right? Like 4? Have you ever tried to wipe with 4 squares of toilet paper? You get your hand all wet. That's bananas. But I was, new out in the world. I was newly not nerdy. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of pretty in college. So like, I wasn't the nerd in high school with missing teeth. So I didn't want to be like, I just wasn't as bold as I am now. I don't think that's bold to be like, yeah, I use probably 8 squares. I don't know. And more when I poop. It's a handful when I poop. And they were like, we use about 4 too each. Who counts that shit? Now I do. I have for 20 years, ever since this whole fiasco. But and I don't use 4 still because that's ludicrous. I'm curious. I would like to know how many squares of toilet paper you use for poop and pee. Maybe I'll put that on my story on my Instagram and you guys can answer that question. And only people who listen will know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'll do that tomorrow. That seems like fun content. I haven't really been on Instagram much. I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to make this big grandstanding how I'm doing message, and I just don't have any of it in me. I think I'm just really just letting it all go. I think that's also what the universe is trying to show me. Let it go. Just let it fucking go. You know what I mean? Just like you don't have to white knuckle everything. And I have been trying to achieve that for the better part of my adult life, not white knuckling everything. And this COVID thing has made me realize that though I have let loose a little bit in my adult life, I still have that. Got to make them laugh. Got to make sure they like you. Got to do this. Got to do that. I still have that hypervigilance in my childhood. That was a survival trait. That was a survival mechanism, right? And I don't have to do that anymore. I am safe. I am loved. And things are going to work out. Like they just are. You know what there's no way I got this far with all the shit I've been through to be dropped now. There's no way that I finally have mapped out exactly what I want to do in my career to be dropped now. So just like I'm working so hard on just letting go, let Jesus take the wheel. Was that Carrie Underwood? I'm sorry. I feel really embarrassed I said that. Actually, I don't, but I feel like I need to say I feel embarrassed I said that for your benefit because I'm a people pleaser. 4 toilet squares. How many do you use? So yeah. And they were like, well, it's physically impossible. Like how many squares are in a fucking toilet roll? Like who knows that shit? I'm sure they did. They also made us clean the bathroom every Thursday, which at first really annoyed me, but then it made sense. Now I clean my bathroom once a week. They're like, if we just do it all together once a week, it'll take 20 minutes and our bathroom will always be clean. And they also had loving parents that were normal, that taught them things and didn't just kind of leave them to their own devices. So they taught me that I clean my bathroom once a week and it takes 20 minutes. They're right. And so, but they were like, it is mathematically impossible if we're all using 4 squares to wipe for us to be going through this much toilet paper. Also, we were all puking quite a bit back then from all the binge drinking. I used tons of toilet paper when I'd puke while, binge drinking. Lots of it. Not just from wiping your mouth, but blowing all the snot out. You know what I mean? Yikes, I don't know if anybody else knows what I mean. But when you puke, even when you're sick puke, there's a lot of toilet paper that's involved. Wiping off your mouth. I don't know, my sinuses open right up when I throw up. Yuck. But yeah, I was thinking about that today when I was wiping before I came in here, and I used probably 10 squares. I don't know. I feel like that's a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been living my life wrong, but I think about it every day, probably. Every single day. It's time I let that go. It's time I let that go. I also have wet wipes sometimes for, if it's a real messy job. It's you don't want to do any, reckless wiping. You want to really take care of things. That's the poop scoop, along with a little bit of lessons in my life. Let's do some. I am one lucky broad. Sorry, I was reading something that said grateful. I am one lucky broad. It's going to be the same thing as it always says. Are we okay with that? I'm one lucky broad. I got so much fucking love in my life. And I'm one lucky broad. I have this rad equipment. Thank you, my friend. You know who you are. It's so exciting. I think my voice sounds like butter. You said butter. I like saying magic, but butter makes more sense because it's smooth like butter. I'll stop. But yeah, I just have a lot of love in my life. And though I'm going to ease back on texting people back while I just, rest. I think part of this resting is also resting my brain, and my brain just, it just takes a lot out of me to and do some, a lot out of me to, and it's not like it's like two people. Like, I am a blessed fucking girl. I'm a lucky broad. I have 20, let's see, I only have 9 text messages right now. Not to brag, but like, yeah, every day, like if I just let it go, it's a lot. It gets overwhelming, and I get overwhelmed by that because I'm afraid if I don't respond to you or tell you exactly what you want to hear, and my people pleaser in me too feels bad telling you I'm not better. Like, I'm like, oh, what can I say that I'm not better? But I'm simply not. And I don't want to push my recovery. Obviously, I'm one of the people that I'm one of the long haulers. That fucking blows. But I don't want to push my recovery into a danger zone. You know what I mean? I'm hoping to not have to go back to that nightmare of an ER ever again. God, thank God I got my kidney stones before COVID. Like I'm watching people in pain in the ER room. Yeah, the emergency room. Oh, that's like when people say ATM machine, because the last one is machine, I think. That's a fun fact. But like one girl was like in tears with an ice pack. And like they were like had to like help her get to her chair, and she didn't get seen for a long time. God, I'm like, I don't know. This is wild. So I'm going to say it again. Just please, God, stay home. Wear your mask. Like, I know we're all lonely. Actually, I'm not. I like being alone. I enjoy it. I'm a social human, and I do like humans, but like I really like being by myself. I do also stand by my statement that I said in the beginning of the pandemic. I said it in front of a couple of people the other day, and they looked at me like I was a full-on monster. But I stand by what I said. Like, if you are having a hard time by yourself, you are the problem. You are bad company. You should get some self-love, get into therapy, 12-step, I don't know. But if you're having that hard of a time alone, I get the loneliness. I'm not shading that, but I just mean in general, like I know a girl that has literally not been alone at all this whole time. Has traveled around, gone to parties, which is really fun to watch when you are sitting at home sick with COVID, when you took it seriously, and this bitch is fine. But I will let it go. But I'm just saying, like, it's not just for, I hate hearing if I get the virus, I'll be fine. Yeah, but some of us aren't fine when we got the virus. And who knows, what if there was a guy that went to my bar that had it, knew he had it, but didn't have any symptoms and just wanted to go out. And I got COVID for 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, or someone didn't even know they had it. Both could happen. But I'm just saying, like, it's not even just about like you getting sick or even infecting other people. Like, if you could see how stressed out these hospital workers are, like, and I have friends that work in hospitals right now, or always, but right now they're literally on Facebook pleading for us to stay home. They're like, we're watching people die. It's getting to the point where they're going to have to decide who gets a ventilator and who doesn't, who gets to fight it off and who gets the actual help. Like, just, don't be a dick. Wear a mask, stay home. The longer you don't stay home, that's the thing that blows my mind. These people, like the girl I know that's just like going out and complain, but then she complains about all these stay-at-home orders. And it's like, you're the reason why we have to keep doing this. Like, if the new lockdown affected your life that much, you're the reason why we keep having to go out. Like, we have to keep having these lockdowns. So just, don't be a dick. I think Los Angeles is going back and extending the lockdown. Part of me is okay with that just because I'm still sick and I'm not ready to go back to work. But then I realized the whole white knuckling, letting things go and people pleasing thing. I'm learning that I don't have to go back there. Like, I don't have to go back there until I am better. And first of all, I'm not testing negative yet. I haven't tried in a little bit, but so I don't know. God, was this all over the place? I always think it's all over the place, but I'm one lucky broad. I am one lucky broad. I'm going to work on DMs probably after Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas in a few days. Isn't that wild? Christmas in a few days. I'll be staying home. I have a couple of presents that came from me. I'm very excited to open them. I bought myself some turkey bacon and eggs and orange juice. I will make myself breakfast, and then I believe I think I'm Zooming with a couple of people. But just a quiet Christmas at home. Christmas was always kind of a rough thing for me growing up. a rough day. I didn't have the best Christmases. My mom liked to fall off the wagon, go to jail. There was a bunch. Christmas was just full of a lot of really bad memories growing up. So I've never been like a big Christmas person. The last couple of years, I've since entering in my 12-step program, I have been decorating and doing nice things for myself on Christmas and only doing things that make me happy on Christmas so I can maybe turn this holiday around and enjoy it the way everybody else seems to. I love giving gifts, so I sent out a bunch of gifts. My love language is gifts. Receiving gifts, giving gifts. I thought that was super superficial, but then I like read more into it, and it's like the littlest gift means so much to me. You know what I mean? Like thoughtful shit. Like, so I love giving gifts, always have, and I'm starting to be able to receive them with grace and gratitude and not, the uncomfortable, I don't deserve this, why do people love me, attitude. I'm leaning into the love, baby, leaning into the love. And so I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. I hope everybody's having a happy Hanukkah. I think Hanukkah ended a couple of days ago. I've been very unclear on how Hanukkah works. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I should probably just ask them or Google it. But I hope everybody had a happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. I will see you next week for the final episode of 2020. I feel like of Kral Space. I'm very excited about that. I don't know why. Maybe I'll speak like this the whole time. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to post this. I'm going to lay down and I'm going to get some rest and take care of myself. Thank you for all the love. And know if you have DM'd me, I've just sort of put all that down for now and focusing on my health. And I will reach out and contact everybody when I'm feeling a little bit better. Thank you for listening. DM me, or not DM, I still haven't checked that email, but email me your Poopscoop stories and your I'm one lucky broad. I still don't think I have any emails, and that's really sad. So even email me just to say hi, because it's sad to look at an empty email address. I have COVID. Just kidding. KymKralSpace @gmail.com. KymKralSpace@gmail.com. You can follow me on all the socials, KymKral. If you get a second, please leave this a rating and a review. Reviews are so cool for me. I was trying to read them one every week, but I got distracted with this whole virus thing, this whole virus fiasco. But I will go back to reading them soon, as soon as I remember. As soon as I remember while I'm in here rambling to you guys. What was I saying? Yeah, please leave me a review. They truly mean so much to me. They help my podcast get further up on the list, which will get more people to listen to it, which will help me with my domination of the world. Just kidding. I pictured Pinky in the Brain. But yeah, well, it just really means a lot to me. So if you can just take a minute just to leave a review and a rating, subscribe, that would be awesome. Follow me on everything, and I will see you next week. Wear a mask, please. Bye. Kral Space, I'm Kral.